Lars Joachim Mittank was an ordinary young man with a steady job, a loving family, and a group of close friends. Born on February 9, 1986 in Germany, he spent most of his life in Itzehoe, Schleswig-Holstein. Described as friendly and responsible, he was deeply involved in his family's life, often helping out after his father suffered a stroke. However, his life took a disturbing and tragic turn in the summer of 2014, leaving behind one of the most puzzling missing person cases in modern history. In late June 2014, 28-year-old Mittank traveled with 5 friends to Varna, Bulgaria, for a vacation at the Golden Sands Resort. For the first few days, the trip went smoothly. They spent their time relaxing, swimming, and enjoying the nightlife. According to his friends, Lars was in good spirits. However, everything changed on July 6th, the night before their scheduled return home. At a local bar, Lars got into an argument with a group of German men over football. He was a fan of SV Werder Bremen, while they supported FC Bayern Munich. Later that night, he left the bar alone and went missing for several hours. When he resurfaced the next morning, he claimed that 4 men, allegedly hired by the group from the bar, had beaten him up. He had suffered a ruptured eardrum and a jaw injury, preventing him from flying home with his friends. A local doctor prescribed him cefprozil, an antibiotic, and advised him to rest before traveling. His friends offered to stay with him, but Lars insisted they return to Germany without him. Alone in Bulgaria, his behavior soon became erratic. He checked into a cheap hotel near the airport, but began acting paranoid. Surveillance footage captured him pacing the hallways, peeking out windows, and even hiding in an elevator. That night, he called his mother in a hushed voice, claiming that people were following him and that she should cancel his credit cards. The next morning, he contacted her again, saying that the mysterious pursuers were getting closer. On July 8th, 2014, the day of his intended flight home, Lars arrived at Varna Airport and visited the airport doctor. According to the doctor, he was visibly nervous and questioned the safety of his medication. When a construction worker entered the office, Lars suddenly panicked, shouting, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out." He ran from the airport, leaving behind his luggage, phone, and passport. Security cameras captured his final known moments, sprinting across the airport parking lot, climbing a fence, and disappearing into the surrounding wilderness. He has never been seen since. Despite multiple theories, including psychosis from medication side effects, a mental health crisis, or foul play, his disappearance remains a mystery. His mother continues to believe that he is alive, though sightings over the years remain unverified. To this day, Lars Mittank is known as the most famous missing person on YouTube, and his case remains unsolved. 19-year-old Jessica Chambers was known for her bright personality and aspirations for the future. Living in Cortland, Mississippi, she had a large circle of friends and a close relationship with her mother, Lisa. However, on the night of December 6, 2014, Jessica's life came to a horrific and tragic end in a case that has baffled investigators for years. That evening, at around 8:10 p.m., first responders were called to a remote road where a burning vehicle was found. Near it lay Jessica, barely alive and suffering from catastrophic burns across her body. It was later determined that a flammable liquid had been poured on her, into her nose, and down her throat before being set alight. Despite the unbearable pain, she was able to whisper a name, Eric, or Derek, before losing consciousness. She was rushed to a hospital, but succumbed to her injuries early the next morning. Investigators pieced together her final hours using her phone records. That morning, Jessica spent time with friends before returning home for a nap. Later, she told her mother that she was going to grab food and clean her car. Surveillance footage showed her stopping at a gas station at 5:30 p.m., the last time she was seen alive. Her phone's location data indicated that she traveled to nearby Batesville around 6 p.m. before returning to Cortland 30 minutes later. At 7:30 p.m., she drove to the area where she was found just minutes later, burning. Authorities searched for the mysterious Eric or Derek, but found no one fitting that description. Jessica's boyfriend at the time, Travis Sanford, was ruled out as he was in jail. For years, the case remained cold until February 2016, when Quentin Tellis, a man with a criminal history, was indicted for her murder. Tellis had a history of violent crimes, including the brutal killing of Ming-Chen Xiao in Louisiana. He had been in frequent contact with Jessica in the days leading up to her murder, repeatedly pressuring her for sex, which she declined multiple times, including on the day of her death. Cell phone records placed him with Jessica until shortly before she was found, contradicting his alibi. His DNA was discovered on her car keys, which had been discarded along a path near his sister's home. Surveillance footage captured a vehicle linked to his sister driving towards the crime scene minutes before Jessica was set on fire. Despite this overwhelming evidence, his trials in 2017 and 2018 both ended in mistrials due to deadlocked juries. Prosecutors debated whether to try him again, but he was later extradited to Louisiana to face murder charges in the Ming-Chen Xiao case. Sadly, Jessica's mother, Lisa, passed away in 2021 without seeing justice for her daughter. To this day, the case remains unresolved. Brian Schaffer was a promising young medical student at Ohio State University with a bright future ahead. Born on February 25, 1979, in Pickerington, Ohio, he was known for his intelligence, charm, and love of music. However, in the early hours of April 1st, 2006, Brian walked into a Columbus bar and was never seen again. That night, Brian was celebrating the start of spring break with friends. They began their evening at a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona, where they drank and laughed. At around 12:30 a.m., he called his girlfriend, Alexis Wagoner, telling her he loved her. He then continued drinking with his friends before they made their way back to the Ugly Tuna Saloona for a final round. At 1:55 a.m., surveillance footage captured Brian standing outside the bar's entrance talking to two women. He then re-entered the bar. That was the last time anyone saw him. When the bar closed, his friends assumed he had left on his own. The next day, when Brian missed his flight to Miami, where he had planned to go with Alexis, alarm bells rang. His phone went straight to voicemail, and his apartment showed no signs of forced entry or foul play. When police reviewed surveillance footage from the bar, they saw Brian walk inside but never leave. The bar's only two exits were covered by cameras, yet somehow Brian had vanished into thin air. Theories abound. Some believe he was murdered and his body disposed of undetected. Others suggest he left voluntarily to start a new life. His phone pinged near Columbus months later, but it was inconclusive. Despite national attention and ongoing searches, no trace of Brian Schaffer has ever been found. To this day, his disappearance remains one of the most baffling cases in modern history.